Oh my gosh. Has he been on fire today? Just this one. They had 2 or 3 today, but this things I usually miss. The bottom is also 20% wrong so far. I guess the S&P 500 with dump. There's been a ton of commentary on that on Twitter as well today and yesterday, and all different directions. Then also him posting the video of him saying, "Oh, it could be 11K, it could be 15K if they print a lot of money," all that stuff too. But anyways, I'm still amazing. Bitcoin isn't all times highs yet. Neither are the coins I founded. It's okay. Just those words, it's okay. Money game crypto. What does that mean? What's okay? What is Richard saying here?
I like to see people's actions rather than their words, but I think it's all going to play out pretty good. I have a theory. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a speculator. I'm a player on the internet who talks about these things, but I'm sure it will do fine. I think a lot of people are forgetting what's in the pipeline. Like, I really think that people are slightly distracted by smaller things. So someone recently put out, I can't remember, it might have been KTP. Shout out to her. She's doing great work. She put out when the Godwell is going to be putting in limit orders. He put some limit orders for ETH, right? ETH sales. I'm pretty sure we're close to that mark. Whatever that mark was, I'm pretty sure it was about $3,200, maybe $3,400. Someone might know in the chat, but we're close to that amount. And you forget what Godwell did with Hex the first time around. Again, we've been talking about this DAI stuff, and there's been a lot of stuff going out there, but it might not just be Richard. There's other plays in the pipeline as well. I'm very bullish. I'm very bullish on what's going on, mainly because of what happened back in December time, around the Hex conference and all of that, and the pump that happened. You know, that was confirmation for me, because at that point, I'm not going to lie to you, I was like, what's going on? Why is the whole market pumping? Why are we not making any moves whatsoever? And then everything changed. And I think that we have the loudest, brashest, strongest voice in the whole of the crypto space. And we're going to dominate. I think we're going to do very, very well. Just remember, guys, like the typical way things go, you have BTC that rises up. It does new all-time highs, all of that. And then the money kind of moves into ETH, and then the money moves into alts, typically. But yeah, real interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's
60K
obvious.
Bitcoin, huh?
68, I think it hit 64 or 63.
4 today.
60. I mean, this chart says 63,844. We can round it to 64. Maybe on some exchanges it hits 64. You call it 64. Incredible. And just this ecosystem too. Obviously, anyone who dares to pay attention knows this place is primed to pump. We've got everything in place. I mean, really, in my opinion, all we need is the, retail. We need the money to come over. We need, whoever it is, the benevolent whales are acting in the ecosystem. Like, we need just more money, not trading bond between each other, instead of P2P, the P2E type of thing that somebody talks about too. We just need more of that. And like everything else is in place. Like, it just needs the money, the investment, the more trading volume and all that stuff. All the stat. everything's here. We don't really need anything else. There's more products coming this year. Edron V2. Hopefully the timed, if the PulseChain devs are timing updates for PulseX and stuff too. I talked about the bridge stuff. Like the bridge, I believe, it's Omni bridge, so it can support more than ETH. What if, if a month or two from now we see, hey, now it supports BNB, now it supports Gnosis Chain, now it supports Polygon, Matic, and all this stuff. Like, these all seem like easy to do things that could be timed strategically, to give emphasis to people to see, hey, this thing go up. Here's all these features. Oh, you like new features? Here's the new feature every 2 weeks or something else coming out. So that's the ideal situation. I don't know why that wouldn't happen. Again, we're just so primed. We're like the primedest of the primed, and everyone's just waiting, either believing more or believing less each day that passes.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this bull run. Just the way that I like celebrating Bitcoin, and everyone's going to get this FOMO, right? It's like a lot of people are going to be, hey, I'm missing out on the party. I didn't get invited to the party. And, that group of people are loving life because they're nearly hitting the all-time high. But it's a matter of time, guys. Like, literally, Bitcoin did a bit of a pump, and then it dropped off, and then it's pumped again. And so this bull market is going to be great. I really have. Maybe we see an early bull market, compared to cycles before, but I'm very confident that it's going to be a very good bull market. Don't chase the green candles because Bitcoin's going up and doing 64K. It's like the worst possible time to buy Bitcoin. There's like literally the worst possible time.
I don't know. You say that, and it's like I think isn't that when like everyone piles in? Like when you could look at Bitcoin, it's 14 months ago or whenever. You could look at Bitcoin be at 15K, 18K, 20K, 25K, 30K, 40, and you could just keep watching and be like, you know what? Now's the time to buy a 60 some K. It's almost hit all time highs. That's when I should buy Bitcoin. Everyone else around me is cheering. The ETF money is coming in. Like you say this as if it's something that is obvious, but I think 99% of people have no idea. Like they have no idea there's any kind of strategy around this other than, hey, my friends are doing it. Let me get in now too.
100%. It's one of those things just where people just want to participate in this pump. And they've probably got friends of friends of friends who said, oh, I'm making money from Bitcoin. Next thing you know, you see it on news. There's so much confirmation to what's being said. Hey, you should buy. Look at it, it's all-time high. It's definitely going to go up to 100K. It's definitely going to go up to 250K, $1 million, whatever the speculation is. That's euphoria. That's the excitement. That's it. And this is crazy because this is 2 months before the Bitcoin halving. Like it is outperforming last year. Not last bull run. Excuse me. The halving just prior to that top in 2021, and it's actually on its way very close to doing the exact amount of gain that happened in the cycle before that. So I think it went up 329% from the bottom to the halving date, and it's gone up 321% in this particular cycle from the bottom to we're not even at the halving yet. The halving's in 2 months on the 25th of April, approximately. So, man, it's doing something that is not done in the last 2 cycles.
And it's easy to poke people who are late, who buy later and all this stuff. But honestly, I've talked about this before. It's most people don't care or want the 10x, 100x, 1000x. Like they can't handle the risk. They don't want, and that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like those are the people that come in and they, push us up higher by buying later because they want that 2x or they want that 50% or whatever circumstances makes them feel more comfortable at doing this, or maybe their institution or whatever won't allow them to do it unless under certain conditions. So it's easy to be like, oh, you guys are going to be so late, you're going to be buying my bags. But it's not like, a portion of people just don't know what's going on. But other portion of people are just like, hey, I want a less risky type of situation before I'm going to put the money in and sleep at night. And that's totally fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. They're just going to get less gains because it's just how the math works out. Shout out to Hexadis, by the way. Is that a water pistol to the head of that bear? How dare you? How dare you? You think the bear's dead? Never know. You never know. Also on this tweet.
Too late to be bearish. We're in a bull market now, guys. Come on.
It's hard to entertain bear thoughts. It's hard to entertain imaginary horribles where Bitcoin just drops off the face of the earth at this point. It's hard to do that. Who knows?
Unless you get a COVID event, right? Like that double top last cycle. Maybe World War III. But even World War III, I did like a comparison of wars before. And there was like a bit of a dip for like a week or 2. And then next thing you know, it started pumping again, the stock market. Which is interesting to see that even a world war didn't have too much of an effect. I think we're in World War, in my personal opinion, but some people disagree with that until it's official. But yeah, maybe that's the one.
Yeah. Well, just on this too, 241K Bitcoin ? Was he using some? I don't think did you read it fully enough to be like, is there actually some math that he's going by on that, or is he literally just calling for 240K Bitcoin, or is this just an intention thing?
I saw it very briefly, and then obviously loads of people speculating that that's his top call for Bitcoin this cycle. He's basing it, as you can see there, is up 30% from its ETF launch 49 days ago. So maybe he's basing it off of that movement. that's very bullish. That's extremely bullish, given that Bitcoin's does diminishing returns. But at the same time, this ETF is like, I know it's cash in, cash out ETF, but obviously a lot of cash in, cash out ETFs have to be collateralized by a certain amount of Bitcoin. So depending on the amount of cash that's in the particular ETF, there has to be more bought up Bitcoin to collateralize against it. So it's been pretty good. Like, if you look at the net inflows versus outflows, it's been going up. I think it was 500. How much was it? 500 million yesterday or the day before? I think. Don't hold me to it. But Michael Saylor said something really important about these ETFs, and I'm just regurgitating what a friend on the phone said to me today. Michael Saylor was saying that for those individual institutions to sell those products prior to the ETF, it was extremely hard. You'd need compliance teams to check every single application, every single purchase, essentially, of Bitcoin, spot Bitcoin. But by having an ETF being approved and being able to give that product out, it's literally just a buy and sell button on a Bloomberg terminal. So it's really easy. You don't have to go through the difficulty that you would have to if you were just to provide it as a product that they buy straight off market, essentially. Again, I'm paraphrasing here, so just don't hold me to it. But that makes me bullish on also what's going to happen with the Ethereum ETF, because in my opinion, August 2024, very significant date, is when the deadline for BlackRock's application is going to be. So the first deadline is May 2024, and then you've got also BlackRock's deadline in August 2024, and typically they kind of follow what BlackRock does. Again, you can look into that and you can say who runs the world, which companies run the world. BlackRock seems to be the one that is very tight with the SEC. So I think that's when it's going to get approved. Some people are saying end of year, some people are saying May, some people are saying August. So you think that this is kind of euphoric? I mean, imagine what happens when there's an Ethereum ETF. Like, it's going to go crazy, in my opinion.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Justin Sun was tweeting about Tron ETF recently. Just like, I'm not sure how serious they were. Solana ETF. I'm sure we're going to hear all the ETFs now. It's going to be Solana ETF. Yeah.
I think that's going to happen next cycle. Maybe they'll start to come for the altcoins, possibly. We'll see how this particular cycle plays out, but I think we'll see a Solana ETF. I've got a prediction that will happen.
Good. It's and just on this one too, I never thought I'd see Richard tweet about Bitcoin price again. Like, I was shocked. I was like, not only is he tweeting, he's like, sort of like bullish on that, and then of course, he gets in what he's here for, to get attention to his products and stuff too. But it's very interesting. Like, he talks about like, just, I'm seeing smiley faces, man. I don't see a lot of Richard Hart smiley faces in tweets. Like, what is the guy happy? Is he like, the glory plan is finally, he's like, oh, I can finally make some steps now that these conditions have been filled. Like, what do you think? There is I've always speculated there's like a big whiteboard somewhere in a castle far, far away, and he's got like his plan. He's got the devs. He's got like 12 cameras. He's got the video chats and all this stuff. And he's working so hard and he's like positioning and got the calendar going and making events and calls and adjusting it based on the data in the market. Do you think like something's, January, we saw some moves. December, perhaps you could even say we saw some moves. And then we keep seeing the DAI stuff move around, which we'll get into. Is the plan? If there is a plan, are these just little pieces? And we're seeing the glory on the horizon.
So let's address a couple of things. Firstly, let's talk about his positive attitude towards BTC. We've got to remember that Richard Hart was a BTC Maxi. Let's not forget that. I think, this is my theory, okay? This is just speculation, and hopefully his alternative account tweets about this. I believe that he was let down by Bitcoin. I actually believe that he got to the stage where he was fed up with Bitcoin, and he came to the realization that it's not going to do, it's diminishing returns, and so he suddenly became more in favor of kind of ETH and the alts and created his own product. But it's kind of like you played for an old team, you play for an old football team or soccer team or whatever, you used to play for them, and you're starting to see them do well. You're still going to have a fondness for that particular team. And I have a fondness when I see the Michael Saylor memes and stuff like that. I got a fondness for Bitcoin. As much as I say, hey, Bitcoin's diminishing returns. Hey, you want to get into the altcoins, you want to do this. I do actually like the fact, because as a collective, crypto pumping in the news, my parents talking about it, saying, hey, I'm up this amount. I even in Christmas, right? I got given this. This is I don't know if it's going to focus here. This is a nice little Bitcoin coin. Nice. Someone was thinking about it during Christmas, right? Because I talk about crypto all the time. And so, yeah, there's a fondness, man. Even the fact that, you know, these Bitcoin maxis with their laser eyes and stuff like that. I love this. I love to see crypto bumping. And I also know that it will shift into the alts. That's how it plays out. So I think that he's kind of celebrating in his own way, even though he's gone after a lot of Bitcoin maxis. I think he's quite happy that Bitcoin's doing what it's doing at the moment. And in terms of the other stuff, yeah, I think that the whole of the ecosystem is quote unquote decorrelated compared to what happened. You remember Bitcoin went up, then the alts went up, and it was around that November, December time. And everyone was like, why isn't anything going up? Solana was doing its run. You had Bonk doing all-time highs. Like, everyone was talking about Solana going to flip ETH. And where was Hex? Where was PulseChain? Where was PulseX? It was going down. It was like minuses for the day, and everyone's feeling wrecked. Actually, a lot of people capitulated, left, got out, or sold positions. And then next thing you know, what happened when everything else was going down? What went up? What was going well in January time? Hey, I think it was January time. When was that major pump? Can someone tell me on
major pump was January 6th?
I
always say we're taking it back. January 6th. We're going to rename it PulseChain Pump Day instead of what that was world epic, or the US knows it as, at least.
Yeah. And all the bubbles, like everyone was ignoring those bubbles. So I think we might see a bit of that. And the deployment of any capital by. Yes, Rand's getting the bubbles out the face. Everyone's avoiding it. Like, don't talk about those products. Yeah, it's like you can see gatekeeping in real life on camera in a altcoin show. Yeah, it was quite refreshing. So I'm quite happy for it to be slightly decorrelated. I think this idea of decorrelation, I would disagree. I would say that everything's correlated to a degree, but I like the facade of decorrelation. If that makes sense.
I think, I did a stream on this the other day when he did the decorrelation, which I talked about. He didn't say uncorrelated. There's a big difference between uncorrelated and decorrelated. Mm-hmm. So uncorrelated, yeah, obviously not correlated.
Good distinction.
Decorrelated, just like,
that's a good distinction.
Less correlated than it used to be. That sort of thing. That's the way I took it. Yeah.
Okay, that's a better example. Yeah. No, if that's the definition, I like that. That's much better.
Got a question for you up here from the poll. If Bitcoin breaks 69K before halving, do we see billions of dollars rotate in the rest of crypto? What do you got, Money Gang? Yes or no? Which one should I click?
If Bitcoin breaks 69K before halving, do we see billions of dollars rotate into the rest of crypto? Yes. If you're
and the winner is 83% of people say agree with you. Yes. Why do you think that is?
Well, some people will buy Bitcoin, but everyone does buy a little bit of something extra. And I think that there's going to be a bit of a kind of sell the news event post-halving. I have the theory that will probably happen. May not be for a sustained period of time, like in most buy the rumor, sell the news events or sell the news events. But I do think that there's going to be a bit of a dump off post-halving. Build up to an event. Same thing happened with the ETF, right? ETF comes out January 10th. Next thing you know, there's that dump off. And there was like, I saw Bitcoin guys going, why aren't we pumping to the moon? Okay, why aren't we skyrocketing? Now we're starting to see it skyrocket. But I do think that we're going to have a bit of a dump off post-halving. But then again, I thought it was overbought. I thought it was good. You know, when it got to like 45, 50K, I was like, this is really, I'm waiting for the 30K drop, you know, I'm waiting for the 35K drop, which would typically happen. And it's really overperformed. It's really done much better than expected. We'll see what happens in the next few days. As we know, it's just hit 64K. But if it's following the 2016, 2017 cycle, coming up to the halving in July 2016, I believe it was the halving date, from the bottom to top, if you take that a percentage amount and put it into what's coming up in this halving, it would bring it to about 65 to 68k, about 67k approximately. So that's where it's meant to be, just below the all-time high price, if it was to mimic the same pattern of the 2016, 2017 bull market cycle. So it's on course to do that. It's very close to doing that percentage gain of, I think it was 329% off my head. So yeah.
I like this comment as well. Stephen Nagel, not $1 billion, a billion people. Wow. And they probably have more than $1 each. That's
well, how much? The way I think about it, how much has been allocated by BlackRock? Just BlackRock, the institution alone, right? It's got what, 10 trillion assets under management, maybe higher than that at the moment. You know, do they say, hey, we're gonna assign $500 billion to this particular asset group? Is that what we're going to assign? You know, so how does that get deployed? What happens with that? And that's just one firm that's buying up Bitcoin. I don't know. Fidelity,
I saw something on
BlackRock.
the percentage. If I can type percentage Bitcoin, they were like, were they advising 1 to 3%, and then yeah, so a case for, okay, that was in January. So portfolio, okay, I'm not gonna bring up the whole thing, but our analysis suggests portfolio allocation 2 to 5% could have an outsized positive impact on optimistic scenario. Like they literally, you know, this is
this
PDFs.
The boomers guide?
Yeah, this is the, you know, you go to a financial advisor, they're probably showing you, you know, PDFs that look like this. And they're like, okay, would you like to hear about Bitcoin? And they start telling, you know, boomers and just people up there with all this stuff, 1 to 4%, 2 to 5%. I mean, that is the scenario. That's why everyone's so bullish on ETFs and institutional products, right? It's like you have this trillions of dollars of people who want to make more money in the long term. And they say, okay, now we can bet on Bitcoin. And now if you think it's, you know, we're at least going to suggest you put this very small amount in it, but that very small amount, you know, 1% of trillions of dollars is still a lot of money. So is that the most exciting thing that can happen? Is that what we're looking forward to with Bitcoin and everything else?
What, 1% of a decent portfolio coming in? You know what? Everyone says they're going to put in 1%, and they suggest, hey, you should put 2%. Come on, we put way more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some boomers put in about 10% of their portfolio, depending on what they've got. You're gonna get more guys like Gary Cardone, for example, and shout out to Gary Cardone. But you're gonna get guys like that who are gonna come into the space and go, hey, crypto's the future, man. You know, it's like, it's gonna be real interesting to see a lot more people taking a bit more risk, because every guy's got that fire inside their you know, stomach that they want to get involved with something a little bit more risky. So they'll probably chuck a bit more than that. They'll see the potential, they'll see the movement, and they'll probably chuck a bit more. And to buy it just easily for an ETF, it's like, hey, makes sense. Why not?
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing that gets people excited is, okay, well, there's all this money coming in over time. A lot of people be late, some people be early. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 1%. But whatever percentage it is, if it becomes a common thing to happen, I mean, I don't know how that's not. I mean, there's gonna be sell pressure from time to time too, and there's market cycles and everything else. But the buy pressure coming from a lot of money, it seems to be the bull case everyone's trying to make for Bitcoin and crypto, like this decade, I guess.
It would also, like, if it's moving so quickly up this way, it's also going to probably come down just as quickly, I would say, once they start selling. I think the number one metric this cycle for determining where the price of things are going is going to be the net inflows and outflows of the ETFs. So having a look at that, when you see those Bitcoin Maxis, something like Invest Answers, posting those little drawings of like the day's inflows, outflows, or the week's inflows, outflows, keep a very close eye on that, because if the outflows start going up, you know, where's the price movement going to go? It's probably going to go to the downside. It's getting to a point where institutional money is going to be taking over, retail, and the effect of institutional money is going to have much more impact than retail has in the past.